In Eswatini, King Mswati isn't just ruling, he's controlling everything. After the 2021 protests shook his grip on power, he allegedly planted spies among MPs to monitor their every move. These aren't just random informants, they're high-ranking officials, secretly reporting to the king's intelligence team. What's even crazier, the spies don't even know who else is spying. This system allows Mswati to silence opposition before it even begins, crushing any push for democracy. But if his power is so secure, why does he need all this secrecy? What exactly is he trying to hide? Stay tuned because the truth behind this will shock you. This is Lux Diaries. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more videos like this. King Mswati III has been ruling Eswatini since 1986, and he's known for three big things: his wives, his wealth, and his fear of democracy. First, let's talk about his wives. He has at least 15 of them, and many were chosen from the country's annual Reed Dance Festival. In this event, young women, some very young, are made to dance without covering their upper bodies while Mswati watches and picks new wives. Then there's his money. Mswati is said to be worth $200 million and has a controlling share in Eswatini's biggest businesses. On top of that, he takes $50 million every year from the government, money that comes from the people of Eswatini. And how does he spend all this cash? Like a king who never grew up, he throws huge parties, lives in multiple palaces, and loves expensive cars. In 2019, he bought 19 Rolls-Royces for his wives, spending $24.4 million. He also owns more than 20 luxury Mercedes cars, and for long trips, he has 2 private jets at his own private airport. When people started complaining about all these expensive cars, he didn't stop buying them. He made it illegal to take photos of them. But the worst thing about Mswati is how he rules. He doesn't like democracy because if the people had a real say, he would lose his power and his free flow of money. So he makes sure he stays in control, no matter what. This isn't just about a king living a fancy life. It's about a leader who will do anything to hold on to power, even if it means hurting his own people. So, in Eswatini, political parties are banned. That means people can't vote for a party they support. Instead, the king controls everything. He even chooses some of the members of parliament. He picks the prime minister and the cabinet. If he doesn't like how things are going, he can dissolve parliament and fire the government. He also commands the police and the army, so no one can challenge his rule. The people don't get real choices in elections. Candidates for parliament aren't picked by the people, but by traditional chiefs, and most of them are loyal to the king. Lawmakers aren't even allowed to belong to a political party. So what's the point of elections? Just a show, a way to make it look like people have a say, when really, Mswati has all the power. He calls this system monarchical democracy, saying the people's votes are just advice for him. But in the end, he's the only one who decides what happens. While Mswati rides in his luxury cars, passing through the streets, he must see the reality outside his window. Most people in Eswatini live in extreme poverty, about 59% of them. Many struggle to afford food, and 1 in 4 children is malnourished. Eswatini also has the highest HIV rates in the world, leaving almost half the country's children orphaned or vulnerable. The contrast is shocking. On one side, a king drowning in wealth. On the other, millions of people are struggling to survive. This level of poverty isn't just bad luck, it's by design. The economy is set up to keep the king and his inner circle rich, while ordinary people struggle to survive. Every decision Mswati makes is about protecting his wealth and power, not about improving people's lives. No matter how many poverty programs are introduced, nothing will truly change unless the real problem, his absolute control, is dealt with. But people aren't staying silent. Eswatini's poverty has created fearless freedom fighters who are ready to stand up and fight for a better future. in 2021, people in Eswatini took to the streets, demanding democracy. They clashed with security forces in weeks of mass protests. It all started in May 2021 when a young law student, Thabani Nkomonye, went missing. A few days later, his body was found with signs of torture. People believed the police were involved, but instead of investigating properly, they gave different stories and did nothing. Angry students protested, demanding justice for Thabani. But they didn't stop there. They also called for multi-party democracy, saying that police brutality would only end if the people had real power, not just the king. The government saw this as a threat, and the response was brutal. Police fired tear gas, arrested protest leaders, and used force to shut them down. Many of the protesters were young people, with student unions leading the charge. Youth unemployment in Eswatini is extremely high, and young people, more exposed to social media, have a clearer view of the opportunities beyond their country. The demonstrations spread beyond the cities, reaching rural areas, while South Africans joined in by protesting at the borders. As protesters blocked roads, the country came to a standstill. Many also boycotted the king's businesses, while some took it further, setting fire to properties linked to him. These actions gave the government an excuse to label protesters as rioters and foreign agents, shifting the focus away from their demands. Things got even more serious when 3 MPs spoke out, demanding that Eswatini become a constitutional democracy where the people could elect their own prime minister. This was unheard of. 2 of these MPs, Mduduzi Bashede Mabuza and Mthandeni Dube, were arrested in July 2021 and sentenced to 25 and 18 years in prison. Their convictions shocked both Eswatini and the world. The protests didn't just happen out of nowhere. People were tired of a system that kept Mswati in total control, where elections were nothing more than a trick to make it look like the people had a say. But in reality, no real opposition was allowed. These MPs were not afraid to speak the truth, both inside parliament and in public. They demanded a prime minister chosen by the people, not one hand-picked by the king. But for simply calling for democracy, they were arrested and sentenced as if they were dangerous criminals, as if they were murderers or terrorists. In reality, they were just fighting for freedom. After the MPs spoke out, people across the country joined in. They flooded the government with petitions demanding democracy. The response? The government banned petitions altogether. This only made people angrier. Then, a video surfaced, showing some of King Mswati's children mocking democracy protesters. That was the last straw. The anger exploded. Since mid-2021, when mass protests first broke out, Mswati has not had a peaceful night. The protests shocked everyone. No one expected them, especially not during COVID lockdowns. The king's government and supporters were completely unprepared. For years, the biggest push for democracy came from outside Eswatini. But in 2021, everything changed. The people inside the country stood up, and now it's clear these protests won't stop even without outside help. When the time for change arrives, nothing can stop it. And could this maybe the reason why the king has spies in parliament now? He knows his power is slipping. So he has allegedly planted spies inside parliament, people who secretly report everything happening there straight to his intelligence unit. This move comes after the political unrest that shook Eswatini in recent years. The previous parliament gave a platform to pro-democracy voices, which led to the arrest and imprisonment of the 2 outspoken MPs, Batsede Mabuza and Mthandeni Dube. Now, it has been revealed that some of these so-called spies include powerful figures like Prince Lindani, former Army Commander Lieutenant General Sembeni Magongo, the King's praise singer Kethuka Dlamini, Princess Nkeng Njen Angji, and former National Police Commissioner Isaac Magagula. But before Magagula became a senator, he was reportedly involved in a secret government project to create a special intelligence unit. This unit would oversee spying operations within the army, police, and correctional services, all under what was to be called the Ministry of State Security and Intelligence. But here's the thing, these aren't the only spies. Apart from the king's personal intelligence network, there are also unknown secret agents inside Parliament. Some report directly to the Army and the State Police Intelligence Unit. An independent investigation by the Swaziland News has revealed how deep the spying goes inside Parliament. One of the king's spies, Prince Lindani, was allegedly given a special task to form friendships with MPs who sounded pro-democracy when they spoke. His goal is to get close enough to spy on them. Lindani is not just any royal. He's a soldier. He worked closely with Lieutenant General Sembeni Magongo and Senator Kathuka Dlamini, both of whom also came from the army. But here's where things get even stranger. The spies don't even trust each other. The system is so secretive that one spy doesn't know what another is telling the king. Even spies are being spied on. This setup ensures that Mswati knows everything happening in Parliament, even before motions are officially discussed. When the Swaziland News reached out to King Mswati's spokesperson, Percy Simelane, he denied everything. He claimed the king doesn't need spies because Parliament debates are recorded, and Mswati can listen whenever he wants. But let's be honest, Eswatini is ruled by King Mswati like a personal kingdom. Political parties aren't allowed in elections, and anyone who fights for democracy risks being arrested, tortured, or even killed. Look at what happened to Mumduduzi Basheda Mabuza and Muthandini Duba. For that alone, they have now been sentenced to life in prison. The charges? Politically motivated terrorism, just an excuse to silence them. The question now is, how much longer can he keep controlling everything? Well, at some point, even the most powerful rulers fall. So, will Mswati's rule collapse under pressure, or will he find new ways to hold on? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this one.